Hello, everybody. We are live from a boring setup today, but that's okay. Just waiting for more people to pop on in. And waiting for oh, hello. Hold on, let me invite you. For my Crocs.
Hello.
And
I'm embracing
Xalavier,
newfangled
hello.
technology.
How do you do?
That's me.
I love it. Well, welcome to Around the Realm, everybody. This is Xalavier Nelson Jr., aka Martin Money
I forgot
/ Tree Man Dead Lover
all of the other
/ Marty
names.
Murder. Hello, everybody joining in. Hi, welcome to Around the Realm. So if you'd like to start off just saying hi, give yourself a mini intro to all the viewers tuning in.
Treat, Lord, Demon Lover, whatever those names are. I'm Xalavier Nelson Jr. in real life, a game developer and a storyteller and multiple mediums. I had the fortune to meet the incredible Carmen Askernice right before the pandemic popped off, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to run a live role play session that's going to hurt you the longer you're a part of it. Are you in?" And I was like, "Heck yeah!" And it's one of the best decisions I made during the pandemic, and I'm so glad people finally get to watch it.
Oh. Oh yes, it's so exciting to finally see it, and boy howdy, does a lot happen in this week's episode, especially with Martin Money / Marty Murder now. Oh, hello everybody, joining in. Hi new people. So you just answered my first question. So you kind of met Carmen through
I met him right before the pandemic at PAX
or did he
East.
ask you right before
I was like, "Oh, this is a super cool person. Why does he want to hang out? That's suspicious." But it turned out he's just an incredibly lovely man with a very refined storytelling sense. So yeah, again, when he said, "Hey, I want to do this thing called Realms and Roleplay, are you in?" The answer was just a full-throated yes. And I love how much he made space for me to be a horrible weirdo across the series. But I hate how often he found his own ways to bring dire consequences to this fact. One of my favorite campaigns I've been a part of.
Yes. I mean, hey, we love the puns.
It was also interesting to see him handle the dynamics of the entire group, because you might have addressed this in previous episodes, but we had not met each other before he brought us together for Realms and Roleplay. So this was also my first time doing, I think, an extended campaign for a D&D game. So him handling new players, newer players, the group dynamics of us as people, and also as players who hadn't done a thing together, the fact that you cannot tell that we hadn't met each other before or that this is our first time says a lot about how Carmen maneuvered the entire series.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't know that until he literally said. I mean, I think the only people that knew each other before was Mylan and Aaron. I think they were the only two that really knew each other before. Everybody else was just like, that's it. And I didn't realize that there was no like prior like meetup before. It was just boom, here we go, let's start. And it's so funny because the group dynamic works perfect. You have the chaotic Martin Money, you have mom friend Win, and then Arya's chaotic, and then Matey's like this just romantic, headstrong, adventurous. And it's really interesting to see how you all like mesh together. So he just kind of like straight up asked,
we met, like, the pandemic popped off, and then he was like, You've got a lot of free time. I know you're at home. I know you're at home. What are you going to do with that
You get
time?
no better
Okay.
time.
uh, you do have me there, so I'm just seeing if I can get a little bit more light
Okay,
than this.
okay.
Woo! I get to have the dual tone lighting. But yeah, I remember even certain points where he engineered how we related to group plot points was really interesting. So when Keith first appeared on the scene, uh, everyone was smitten with this adorable large man. Uh, and
Yeah.
I don't remember if there was ever a plan to murder Keith, but there's definitely a plan to like uh, pull him between. Maybe this is just my plan. Pull him between multiple points, and because we didn't know what Keith would become, and Carmen in real time being like, love interest. This is love interest, singular love interest. Just this is how the story is going to go without it making it feel railroady. That was really cool.
Yeah, I remember. I actually talked to him about that before. I think he said something like originally he was just supposed to be like a quest giver or something like that. But I think he tried. I think he tried
Yeah,
to
he
off
once
Keith, but
threatened
Mylan
Keith's
slash
life,
Matey would
and
not
none of
have
us
it.
were happy about that.
No, no, of course, no. We also, I can't remember who it was with. I can't remember if it was Mylan or Mallory, but on one of them where they were a guest, we came up with, okay, so it was Meef, which is the ship name for Matey and Keith, but we also came up with Carton, which is Keith and Martin.
I'm really glad Meath is what we ended up
and
going with
Martin.
because I can't take Carton seriously.
I
Yeah,
can't really take me
we're
seriously
choosing
either,
from the
but,
lesser of
it's
two
just
evils
Carton,
here,
right?
very definitively.
And I touch on this every episode. So Martin, okay, so Nightingale Switchblade was my favorite character, and last week Carmen got to answer for his crimes, but that doesn't mean that I'm not any
Remind
less salty.
me of who
So,
Nightingale Switchblade
how did
is.
you
It's
feel
been a
about
long
Nightingale Switchblade?
pandemic.
Yeah. He was the okay. Yeah, he was also like the first episode. He was like the little green goblin guy that came up to
Oh
Martin.
yeah,
He's like, I'm
I
Nightingale
gave him a lot
Switchblade.
of
I want to
very
be
bad advice,
just
didn't
like
I?
you. And then yeah, about like
I mean,
sacrificing morals
did it work for him?
and all that.
Oh, I guess
He
it didn't work
died in
for
the
him.
second episode. No, it really didn't. Well, I guess it wasn't really your fault because he died because Alistair Wormweb
Oh yeah, when we
ripped out
found
his
that
heart
little
and kind of like
room.
sacrificed him. So
No,
yeah, it didn't even
everyone
happen.
thought it was a bad idea for me to murder the
Yeah.
mayor until the mayor started popping up with stuff like that. So, in hindsight, I am justified in every chaotic action I wanted to take because we lost Nightingale. We could have had Nightingale. Nightingale could have become the amoral medieval influencer he was always meant to be, and we're never going to get that future.
I know. Nope, we're never gonna get that. Thank you, Carmen. But it's, I mean, I asked him too. It was like, well, okay, if it wasn't Nightingale Switchblade, would he have made it? No, he's like, no, definitely would not have made it past episode 8.
So
that's unfortunate.
Carmen says that, but we do have an odd habit of keeping things alive that shouldn't be alive. So I think we could have stretched it at least like to episode 6 if we were really committed. There's ways we could have made that happen.
Yeah, you have to be a really good intern, but
yeah,
you already got Tony the Pony.
I mean, it's his fault for
crowded, so sorry,
letting us name characters that we would fall in love with. Because once they have names, and once they go beyond like, oh, this little elf walks up to you, or this little goblin, it's like, what's the goblin's name? why does it cry itself to sleep at night? And once you know that, you can't get rid of the character. It has life now.
No, you're. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it is sovereign to death, so you had to put the death in sovereign to death. I mean, understood, but well. Anyways, just like talking about the episode, what's it kind of like for you? I mean, it's been like 2 years since it's happened, so like, what's it like seeing the finished product? Because I forgot all the time when NPCs pop up on the screen and somebody asks like, well, what do they look like? I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, that's right. You can't see because we're watching the finalized product and everything. So
I think
what's it like
the chief feeling I had was one of just surreality. Like even the Xalavier that I'm seeing on screen 2 years ago, I don't recognize that guy. Why did he do so many crimes? I wouldn't do those crimes. In all seriousness, yeah, just I would say this big feeling. I think it coming to into people's hands 2 years later is kind of the ideal form for it to take in hindsight, especially in terms of a storytelling exercise, because it makes it feel like this little time capsule, this crystal ball, where in our real lives and in this digital realm, we didn't know what would happen next. So we had to be very present at all times. And being so immediately present, yeah, I get to see this time capsule of a guy with more hair. And that's kind of rad.
I would do those crimes. Chaotic. We'd love to see it. So when you were, like during the pandemic, the world shut down, and then Karma was like, "Hey, we're doing this," and you're like, "All right, cool." What was the process like?
So every time a DM lets me join their game, because usually I'm the DM, I prefer being a DM. It's where my brain feels most comfy. But every time I'm going to join a game, I ask for a concession, a treat. In this case, I said, "Hey, so I have this idea for a character. It's kind of wild. What if you just gave me the ability to, make more money at any time from my cursed veins?" And when Carmen said yes, not only did that kind of secure my loyalty, the final week of 2022 is going real well, David. Excited to be here with y'all. Not only did that secure my loyalty, but yeah, I kind of do these monkey paw deals with my DMs where I'm like, hey, just give me this cool little power. You can even put like this limitation on it. Here's a limitation that I recommend. It's so absurd. There's no way that my character could do this repeatedly. And as opposed to power gaming, kind of making my DM and myself live with the consequences of one little ability, just one little character trait that's constantly throwing a wrench into things. That's always a delight. And now that we got to do an 80s makeover at some point, I think in like the second or third episode, right?
I love
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was one with Fee, right, from 80s Date. Yes. I think that was when we met Tree Man. Because you guys needed disguises and you rolled well. She got a hat. But I mean, as good as a disguise a tree is, it was a desert.
Here's the thing, right? Like a tree appearing out of nowhere in pretty much any location. Like if you were in a Arctic tundra and you saw a tree, you can explain that. That weirdly feels like, there shouldn't be a tree here. That doesn't set off all the alarm bells. But like a misplaced shrub, or that's the wrong color of ice for this region. I feel like that sets off more alarms. If you go past the event horizon of being anachronistic, suddenly you appear vaguely normal.
Yeah. And I guess, so we never got like the art for Martin being a tree. And there were so many times that he was a tree. So I'm wondering what, at least in your mind, because it's going to count as canon, What do you think it looked like? Do you think it looked like a really like a literal like real convincing tree like with your head
Uh,
popping out, or was it
I
like a
think it's
really
right in
wacky
the
tree
middle
costume where
where
you're
it's
just
like
T
there's like a
posing
really
everywhere?
convincing tree, but like I have like one arm free, and it is very obvious that that arm is not a tree limb, and it's my face popping out. So if you think of like a children's community theater production with a little bit more of a budget, but that just makes the glaring holes in the costume even more obvious, that's
uh,
where I think the tree costume ends up. Do I wear it that much?
I
Even
yeah,
after we leave
Tree
that
Man
first
Dead
town?
Lover comes in quite a few times. I mean, I don't, after the date,
Okay.
there is another one, and then there's mostly in the beginning. I don't think Tree Man, yeah, like after towards like maybe at five, maybe after like five, I don't think Tree Man's there anymore. Tree Man definitely doesn't come
I
in Marty
mean,
Murder anymore.
that
That
would make
can't
the
happen.
costume all the
Marty
better.
Murder's like huge, so
We need the one shot of like Marty Murder has
that's
to
true.
go undercover as Tree Man Dead Lover to like investigate a murder within like the Ent community. Uh, make it happen, Carmen. I would love to do it.
Yeah, make that happen because I mean, honestly, if Marty
Hmm.
Murder couldn't be Tree Man Dead Lover, it could also be a boulder, a really boulder costume. But a tree would be way
I
funnier,
could
honestly, because that would be
disguise
like a
myself
one
as one
huge sequoia
enormous
tree.
lichen, whatever the pronunciation of it is. Uh, uh, and I could call myself Marty Mulder, which would then mean because like I'm like a mold, and then I can have a Scully because it's also play on Mulder and Scully. We could have so many interconnected chains of puns that no one knows where it
Ah,
begins or ends. Uh, for those in the comments who are telling me that a moss is not the same as a mold, they both spread like a guy on the subway taking up too much space. So you know, it's all fair game.
yeah,
Carmen,
it's all fair
Carmen.
game, and I want a mini series now. Carmen, Carmen, if you're in here, all right. I demand that. So I guess getting into Marty Murder, like, so Carmen, he already exposed, and he said he was like, he's like, he said that you came to him, and he was like, I want to cause as much chaos, and then I want my character to die. So, and I remember we were talking, I was talking with Carmen about the death of Martin Money and how I don't think it was planned, at least not that early, or was supposed to be later on. So was at least, you know, since it wasn't really that planned to be that at that time, was Marty Murder kind of like a last minute fix? Like, did you want Martin Money to come back,
This
but
is
then you were
where
kind of like,
the
I like
inexperience of
this.
D&D as a system comes in because I saw the limitations and the joys of playing as a wizard. But at a certain point, I was like, Carmen keeps throwing these really big, powerful things at us. I need to hit things. I need to be large and hit things. Uh, and as long as I've still got nimble fingies, then I get to be, you know, a useful rogue equivalent. So uh, I was all for being buried. I did tell Carmen that my preferred role playing style is to be interesting and then die. Uh, Martin Murder or Marty Murder coming back from the grave, but suddenly being inexplicably jacked is kind of the epitome of that exact philosophy. Because here he is. He is twice his size, and now he's good with axes. Don't worry about it. Just roll with it.
Just roll with it. And we also learned a really nice little backstory, which we will get to once we get to the recap. Um, I another question that I have is so a few episodes before when they got on the ship to get to Broken Rock, Martin found Fee. Do you remember that? When
I
Martin Money
remember that
found
I
Fee
did
and
keep
like
a
he like
secret
kept it a
because I'm
secret.
great at keeping secrets.
But I guess my question is, why did
Uh,
Martin keep
I
Fee
figured
a
that
secret?
eventually that would be a very juicy piece of information to spill or to cause chaos in some arena. If I remember correctly, it doesn't really pay off. Like there's no like big reveal. But yeah, I kept it secret because I thought it would be more interesting. I wanted to give Carmen as a storyteller as many tools as possible. Is just lining the wall with Chekhov's guns and being like, "Hey, which one of these do you want to hurt us with next?" Okay, I see that that's your thing. Which one do you want to do next?
Yep, yep. And I mean, well, it kind of, it did. It kept some secrecy, it kept some juiciness going because I kept thinking throughout the whole thing, like, wait a minute, why is he keeping this a secret? Fee's right there, and why is Fee not appearing? And then I think eventually, I can't remember if it was Arya or Mady. They just got impatient when you left
Yeah.
something, and she
Uh,
just kind of came in and saw Fee.
there's like one of my favorite tropes of like 80s movies is like, oh no, I shouldn't have stuck the dragon or the alien or what have you underneath my bed. My parents are going to find it. And, why not do that with a sentient being?
hmm Um, so you kind of answered this question before. So you've played D&D. Hi, Marconi. Uh, so you played D&D before, and you said you prefer to be the DM. So have you ever done other games where you were
Scattered
not the
games. I
DM
can't remember them
besides
very
this one?
well, but I really enjoy um, being a host for a table, saying like, let me facilitate your story, and this little
Mhm.
chemistry that's going on here, and you clearly like this character. Whenever I'm in a tabletop scenario, it's hard to balance uh, as a participant in the story, be being a character and being a catalyst, but not taking away from other people's spotlights, which is why it's like quietly stressful for me. But
Mhm.
the way that the story ended up shifting, um, I ended up becoming more comfortable by the end with the entire idea of role playing, which is pretty rad. Uh, I did actually, I think
Mhm.
it's outside of realms of role play, there's one other thing that I actually participated in. I think it was called the Omen. It was the Omen podcast, O.M.E.N. And I'm trying to remember what the system was for that. I think it was some variant of a powered by the apocalypse thing, or a what's the one where you have, I was gonna say, what's the one where you have stats and you roll, and that doesn't narrow it down at all. It's something about occult investigation.
Gonna say I don't know.
It had a bunch of different types of investigators. I think it had the word might in it. Whatever the case may be, I've been in a lot of, I've been in
Hmm.
very few campaigns, quite a few singular situations, and usually as the DM. So having my first ever real experience with D&D, this is my first time rolling a D&D character specifically, for example. Uh, this was a heck of an introduction, especially because Carmen seemed to
Really, yeah.
throw everything at us, all of it.
Yeah. And it's an extended campaign, so it's not like a one
Yeah.
play for a few hours and then you're done. No, you're invested, you're in it. So yeah, it's gotta be to switch gears. I'm a lot newer to tabletop. I mean, I did it in high school, but we kind of played D&D not
Yeah,
really by the rules. We
Carmen
didn't really
knows
know
the
what we were doing,
rules,
but we
and
had fun.
he
So
hurts
yeah.
you with them. That's gonna keep being a theme in this discussion. Uh, I didn't know the rules, and I feel like playing with Carmen reminded me of this. My first time ever playing a collectible card game. I was 5 years old. It was a dark, literally stormy, moonlit night. Um, my grandmother was chatting with another woman in the community who her grandson, or maybe yeah, her grandson or nephew or something was visiting her, and they told us, to go play. And the house was big, and it was scary, and there was mood lighting. And he had these cards, and he was much more interested in the cards than me. And I was like, "Hey, can I play? Hey, can I play?" and he was older than me. He said finally, okay, yeah. He sat down at the table. We were playing this game called Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm like, wow. And he gives me these cards, and he has these cards, and he says, okay, play a card. And I put one down. And he said, it goes to the graveyard. And he put it in the discard pile. And he was like, play another card. And I played all of my cards until he was like, they all went to the graveyard. Your characters are dead. And then he picked up the cards and went back to playing by himself. And because of my 5-year-old brain logic, I was like, huh, man, I guess I'm really bad at Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's how I feel about carding with D&D. I came in, I was like, hey, and he's like, I was like, hey, can I spit money out of my mouth? And he's like, yeah, that's great. By the way, here's a dragon. Do you know what dragons do? I was like, no. He says, okay, your name is Marty Murder now. You didn't do good.
It's so
His
funny
first
too, because
time
Carmen
DMing
said this is
ever?
his first time DMing, and boy, Carmen, I think ever, right, Carmen? Because like you didn't
Yeah.
DM
I,
before.
I
Like,
don't know who
dang,
he learned
like
from
brutal.
or what instruction manual he was looking in, but you don't usually take like second level characters, dude, and shove them up against like level 4 enemies. That isn't how it works.
Well, you know what? It is sovereign of death,
Classic
so
Carmen.
you got to make the death part happen. Classic Carmen. We love you, Carmen.
Wow.
Well, okay, we're ending the last few minutes, so I'm just gonna do those first ever LOL. Wow. Just gonna do a quick recap of yesterday's episode. So we began with Mithrika, aka Wynn's mom. She's about to get executed. Churlish was about to kill Matey, and for context, we do not see Martin Money and we don't see Keith. So Wynn's dad and a friend of Wynn's, Orpheus, come to rescue them along with Elderson, who is Arya's old mentor, and everything is like all over the place. They're all frazzled. They're like, okay, they don't really remember that. Well, Matey was the only one that really saw Martin die, but it was all like hectic. So like, wait, where's Martin? Where is Keith? And it's just been a whole mess trying to find them. And then they find Martin, and Fee has that orange stone that was supposed to be used for Matey's dad, but Matey decides to use on Martin, and we learn a quick little backstory about Martin Money, and
Yes.
pretty much, I believe he was a child in a drill, right? He was a child in a drill, and he came across this pile of radioactive money, and he had good intentions for it, but once he touched that cursed pile of money, he became Martin Money, but he forgot who his family was, so that was kind of the price that he had to pay for being Martin Money. But you know, he was in the like the ether realm with his father and everything, and I think your father or you got a point of inspiration before coming back as Marty Murder. But Marty Murder only remembers a few. Like, he only remembers, he doesn't remember Keith. Well, Rip Carton. And he doesn't remember, like, Fee or any of the few NPCs that we've met. He does, I think he remembers a little bit of, like, who the main cast is. Like, I think he remembers Arya, Wynn, and Matey, just not, like, everything kind of like that they were existing and in his life. I forgot in this episode, Gravis, Jorts
Didn't
man.
I take the jorts off of his body?
He died. I don't think I remember you taking the jorts because Marty was like, aren't we sad about these? But I don't think they were. I can't remember if they were on him or not, but I remember you taking the jorts because you're like, this is sadness, right? Sad jorts. We care about these. And you also Alistair, which is thank you. Because I remember everybody saying, didn't he die? And like, no, he was just held captive, but thank you for doing that because I hated him. So he killed Nightingale. So there you go. Therefore, Marty Murder is my favorite character.
I mean, I appreciate your your method of choosing your favorite characters, which is like, okay, whoever avenges the character who died, they're my new favorite.
Yep. And you know what? You did it. You avenged him. So cut the head clean off. I don't
I mean, I think
know
that
why
sums up our
Arya kept
characters
it,
in a lot of ways as well,
but she
right?
did.
Which is Martin chooses to take the jorts, this somewhat absurd item that also has a deep emotional significance the more you think about it. And Arya casually picks up the head and stuffs that in her bag, uh, with a far less with far less burden attached for this very tangible, horrific thing. So I'm attaching a lot of value to being a tree, or to
Yeah.
being a or to this pair of jorts, and Arya is attaching very little value to the fact that there's now a human head in her bag, and that's part of what makes Arya legendary.
Yep. Also, we learned at the end of this episode that Skoldana is hot. I feel like everybody, Arya was like, "Oh my god, hot," and then everybody's like, "Yep." It's a great way to end the episode. Well, it ended with a cliffhanger because they were on the boathouse
Yeah,
thingy,
I
and then
think
Skip
that
bombarded
boathouse
them. So
houseboat thing will come to bite us in the next
cliffhanger.
episode. I believe we made such a big deal about it, Carmen decided that it would be a bad time.
One more question. Did you know today's? Oh, really? The 6th anniversary of Carrie Fisher of her death. Wow,
If she was
it's
wearing
been 6
jorts,
years. Favorite,
the
big
party would
stan.
have preserved it.
Well, ooh, Eridana Scolia.
I'm
They
into
need a ship
Scully.
name. Yes, I like Scolia. Yeah, Eridana. Yeah, I'm into Scolia too. All right, there we go. We have Carton, beef, and Scolia. Scolia. Yeah. All right. Well, we have reached the end of our time. Thank you so much for coming on here and getting to talk to us a little bit about Martin Money / Marty Murder / True Man Dead Lover, and talking to us a little
Scully.
bit about this week's
It was a delight
episode.
joining you.
Team
Thanks for having me
Scolia.
on, and thanks to everyone who's been watching Rums and Roleplay. It's a fantastic production, and it gets even better from here.
Oh, it does. Trust me. Next episode, tune in. Love you too, Marconi. See you all next. Tune in. To